This is an American alligator. Don't touch it. This is an American crocodile. Don't touch this one either. Follow me for more Everglades survival tips. It's kind of a relief when you're 8 feet away from a crocodile and he doesn't even open his eyes to look at you. This crocodile isn't even out in the wilderness. It's right under the marina dock where everybody launches their boats. Fun fact, alligators like fresh water, crocodiles like it salty. You'll learn a lot when you come to the Everglades, which I've been doing for 53 years. I've been here about 30 times. I almost always do it in mid-March. It's the end of dry season and all the wildlife is concentrated wherever the remaining water is. Fewer mosquitoes too. And every sunrise over Florida Bay is spectacular. Here's what you need to know. The Everglades is a wide, slow-moving river that's draining everything down from Lake Okeechobee. All this is national park, with Big Cypress National Preserve over here. Most of it is impenetrable swamp and sawgrass. There's one entrance up here in the Tamiami Trail called Shark Valley. It's a 15-mile-long loop with a tram tour that's also good for biking and hiking. But almost all of the national park activity happens along this 48-mile road from the Visitor Center in Homestead to Flamingo down here on Florida Bay. So let's get up to speed on what's going on. The first place, and arguably the most popular place, is Royal Palm. First, this way, Anhinga Trail. I don't think you're going to find a bigger concentration of alligators anywhere. Wow. I've heard them bellow before, but I've never watched them do it that big. And now they're all doing it. If you think he's hot and panting, imagine how I feel. Selfie with my new friend.
Would anybody like to borrow one? Oh my goodness. Ew! I
So you wonder what this double-crested thing is all about. There you have it. You know we're right up here, right? Then this way. If you want to find a lot of northern forest warblers wintering over somewhere in the Everglades, Gumbo Limbo Trail. This is the place. Oh, and poison ivy and poison wood here. This place is filthy with pine warblers. Next trail down the road, Pineland. It's a tiny remnant of the pine forest that once existed from here to Texas. Does habitat matter? Pine warblers are in the pinelands. 2 years ago when I was in here, they just burned it. Everything has sprung right back up again. I did not come all the way to the Florida Everglades to film blue jay. So why do they burn? Limits invasives. It allows the native trees to grow because fire always regulated the Everglades. And 2 years ago they burned it, and look now at how lush it's already come back up. Red-bellied woodpecker, no surprise. Great-crested flycatchers are just everywhere in this park. Boy, is he moving around. The bird I did not expect, American redstart. Paheoki is the next trail down the road, but I'm skipping it. This is the driest I've ever seen the Everglades, and I doubt there's anything to look at besides the great view. Next trail down, Mahogany Hammock. A hammock is a slightly elevated spot that isn't usually flooded in this river of grass. Tropical trees like mahogany grow huge, protected by a moat of water on the depressed ground around the hammock. This is, I don't know, a little surprising to me, but got a red-shouldered hawk nest right there, and then you go over here, and it's a barred owl nest, and they're that close together, and I guess they don't mind sharing. Yes, that is a baby barred owl. Funny boardwalk. Serious storms and mature trees toppling over on the wood. Usually they just put a band-aid on the repair, and that works. Mahogany nuts. Ah, Everglades. This is fun. The next 4 stops are Perotas Pond, 9 Mile Pond, West Lake, and Brazic Pond, but I'm skipping them because it's check-in time for my houseboat. Yes, houseboat. 3 nights on this houseboat. First time I've ever done it. Now this is birding. That's not crazy. A lot of Everglades experience is happening right near this boat in the marina. The visitor center is here. There's a lifer I have to go get tomorrow morning that should be right here. A quick timeout. In October 2025, they split the yellow warbler into northern yellow warbler and the mangrove yellow warbler, which is a Caribbean bird, but gets into southern Florida. And there's one in here, and it's a lifer. Got to find it. A lot of birds commute over Buttonwood Canal on their way to and from their rookeries. Wow. Short-tailed hawk. Best view ever. Wow. There are cool birds in the parking lot. Okay, that's unexpected. I just went looking for shiny cowbird down at the campsites and didn't find it. And I come back to the boat and they're all over this parking lot. And a few shiny cowbirds. I got my lifer shiny cowbird right here 25 years ago. 25 years later, I'm seeing my second one. I've been coming down to the Everglades for a lot of years, and I've seen a lot of birds, and I've never seen a blue grosbeak. There are crocodiles and manatees in the water. And the marina has cold beer. Well, this is going to be an interesting day if the vultures are up this early. Rate the sunrise. I give it 9 out of 10. No comment. This is what I looked like too before that first morning coffee. Experience birding means knowing that in winter spotted sandpipers don't have spots. That moment when you realize you've landed near the nest of an angry American kestrel. Not sure how this is going to end. You know, first thing in the morning, if you're in the campground, eco tents, or lodge, the waterfront next to the amphitheater is often a really lively place. Warblers are starting to sing. Let's find that little twerp. He's calling. This mangrove yellow warbler tends to stay deep down in the mangroves where he's kind of hard to see. This may be one of the best lifers I never saw. What kills me is I know I had this mangrove yellow warbler before. 2 years ago I heard a yellow warbler sing a song I had not heard them sing before. Right here. And you gotta know, that was it. Mangrove yellow warbler. I'd make him famous, but he won't hold still. Not bad for a bird that's only been its own species for a couple of months. Let's go over to Eco Pond. There's always something going on. Sometimes there's a lot going on. Roseate spoonbills are the highlight this morning. Reddish egret. I think this is the first time I've seen one in here. They're usually over on the saltwater side. Lots of tricolored herons. Black-necked stilts. Greater yellowlegs. And I think there's some lesser yellowlegs out there somewhere too. If you see a white wader the size of a snowy egret, take a second look. Immature reddish egrets are white, and this immature little blue heron is too. Look at the bill. It's reddish on a reddish egret and bluish on a little blue. Eco Pond has a lot of cool birds in the water, but don't ignore the birds in the trees. This is one of the best walks in the park for birds that aren't in the water. Most of the walks are short. There are 5 big ones on this end of the park. Snakebite, Rowdy Bend, Christian Point, Bear Lake, and Coastal Prairie Trail. I've got time to do 2 of them, and I'm going to pick the 2 that might have American flamingos. One of the problems with coming here 53 years is that everything changes little by little. This is the end of Snakebite Trail. 53 years ago, it was just pretty much mud flat and you had a 180-degree view. But all the mud has silted in from hurricanes and all the trees have grown up anywhere they didn't get blown down. People have been seeing American flamingos out there through those notches, but not today. Struck out again on getting this lifer. Well, trail must be that way. First time I've ever done Christian Point Trail in 53 years. What was I thinking? This is better than I expected. Note to self, if you're walking a trail that has posts to indicate where the trail is when it's underwater in muddy conditions, let it dry out. Notice that all these mangroves are black mangroves, the most salt tolerant in standing water. So you know it gets pretty wet back here sometimes. There's been so much salt water intrusion that it's killed off a lot of the trees and a lot of the vegetation. But when it's dry, it's just wide open and very pleasant. I did not expect this. What are the odds of finding a prairie warbler on a coastal prairie? This is great. All the swallowtail kites are just migrating back in from Brazil. End of Christian Point Trail. It is like the bird Serengeti out there. You know, I've paddled down here before and I've seen wow before, but I'm catching it just about high tide, and the only mud is right there, and all the birds are concentrated right under my nose. This is me leaving the Christian Point Trail without an American flamingo. If I miss this bird one more time, it's going to move to number 1 on my grudge list. Gotta do this boat trip again. First in the boat, front row seat. Yeah, I've done this before. Buttonwood Canal is just a parade of crocodiles. You're wondering why so many people calmly canoe and kayak past all these crocodiles every single day, right? American crocodiles almost never bother humans. Almost. Once we clear Buttonwood Canal, we're into Whitewater Bay. It's wild back here, and there are some really cool campsites on raised platforms called chickees. My favorite is Hell's Bay chickee, but I like South Joe River chickee too.
They want to protect your red mangroves.
On the way back in, all the canoes are moving, and none of the crocodiles are, so it's all good. I don't know what the ospreys expected. They're nesting right in the middle of the parking lot. I wonder if the vulture's meal is someone he knew. Are you mocking me? Are you mocking me? Oh, I believe that's a young one begging mom for food. Sorry, carry on. Why don't crocodiles eat manatees? Turns out it's because the manatees are just too big and not worth the effort. Especially a full-size one is 1,000 pounds. The crocodile's not going to mess with that. And because they won't mess with the big ones, they don't bother with the little ones. Quick trip down memory lane. This was once the old post office and gas station. And the post office is where you would come to mail postcards, which was a way of telling your friends and family that you're having a better time than they are. I return to the Everglades every 2 or 3 years, but the vultures are starting to circle this vacation. Till next time, see you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile.